Hello YouTubers, and welcome to my first ever Let's Play video, and it's a big one. It's chapter 1 in my playthrough of the long-awaited prequel of the God of War series, God of War Ascension. So let's get stuck in and see what Santa Monica Studios have pulled out of the bag this time. At this moment in time, I do not know much about the God of War Ascension game, apart from that you've been captured and tortured by the Furies that was covered in the clip I've just talked over, and I'm probably missing stuff now. Oops. Oh well. And obviously I've woken up with no recollection of the events that caused you to be in this horrible, horrible fate.
Hello, Kratos. What's wrong? You seem confused, Kratos. Having trouble remembering our special times.
Anyway, the person that's bitch slapping you around is one of the 3 Furies that you'll face in the game. And this one has obviously had its best share of Kratos' rage, because of the fact that he was the one who cut off this Fury's arm. And in a minute, which it will do right about now, is going to introduce us to a new concept, which is a combination of both the button mashing and the normal fighting mode, which is mostly dodging and hitting your enemy. But yeah, you'll see that in a minute. As well as this new add-on, they've added a lot to the normal fighting play, as well as side weapons, which we'll see in a bit, which are quite good, but they only use really to stun your enemies. And this has there's a lot of things that you are given, such as swords, spears, hammers, clubs, and slingshots as well, that throw fireballs at people, which are my favourite because they just are. Fireballs are awesome. Anyway, unfortunately they haven't improved the button mashing, but you can't really improve button mashing, can you? Oh well. But yeah, what I really hope they keep in the traditions of God of War is the big boss battle that they normally have at the start of the game. This is when you face the most ridiculously oversized monster, and somehow, even though you are 1, a mortal, and 2, only have 2 short blades attached to chains, you always kick its ass, which I find both brilliant and stupidly good. But yeah, in a minute you'll see what I mean by add-ons to the normal fighting play, because in a minute I'll be facing a group of people. By people I mean bug/people, which I call Bugmen or Bugmen. No, Bugmen. Yeah, you'll see that in a minute. Don't listen to that Bugman thing. That was just me being weird. Oh well. Anyway, so yeah, you'll see that fighting, and after this short fighting bit, I will tell you exactly, or during the fighting, what new things they've added to it. You'll probably spot them anyway.
in your attempt to be free!
Well, yeah, they were the concepts of the new fighting styles, and as you probably saw, there were quite a lot, including the ability to punch and kick instead of stunning. That was basically your version of stunning enemies. You'll eventually replace that with weapons that you pick up from enemies, which I'll show you in a bit. But yeah, as well as the fact that you could, as you also saw, latch yourself onto an enemy and then sort of maneuver yourself around him while hitting other people and the enemy that you've latched yourself onto. But that's good as well. And obviously I'm going to now show you the concept of side weapons, which I've just done because I've picked up a sword. These weapons are not really, they don't wear out, but I've just kind of thrown one at the enemy. They're used to stun the enemies more than used for great attacks. But yeah, obviously they've kept a lot of things, such as the fact that you can do almost stun moves or finishing moves to smaller enemies, which I still love, and the fact that you can still throw people around like they're bags of potatoes, really, which I still love. I love the fact they've kept always the concept of Kratos' swords. Everything else on the games has normally changed or improved, including the weapons, weapon styles, and everything else. Because, I mean, the first one you got Medusa's head, which was really cool. And then the other ones you got things like shields and other assorted stuff. And in the last one you got a lot of stuff that almost were like replicas or variations on your swords, like the electric talons, that instead of strong attacks, if you used a certain move, you sort of threw them out and they electrified the battlefield. Or the Hades claws, which were much faster.
We will see how you fare against the Hecatoncheires!
Now this is more like it. What I wanted from the first level of this game was a big boss fight. But that's still not big enough. And I hope it gets better than that. But yeah, obviously I'm going to give you some hints and tips about this sort of part of the level. But in a way I can't really, because the fact that it is the first level. And normally in the first level, even though the bosses or boss are really difficult, well, not really difficult, but they're big, they're actually quite simple to beat, as I am about to show you with this part. But yeah, I believe this is a short fight, this part, where you face this Hecatoncheires, or a part of the Hecatoncheires, no spoilers there. But yeah, obviously this part of the Hecatoncheires, or all parts of the Hecatoncheires, are holding this temple together, and have obviously been built around it. So it still has, well, it has something actually quite new, to be honest, which is variation in the environment as you're facing one enemy, instead of in the past ones where you've run after it and you eventually just face it in open ground areas that are obviously for a boss. Instead of this, which is actually a lot different, because at this point, this part of the battlefield is where we just stood to get my sword. If you didn't recognise it, probably from the scratch marks and the fact that it's facing on its side. But yeah, in a minute you'll see the finishing move to this guy, and once again it's always as brutal as any other God of War game, which will be hilarious. But yeah, a couple tips. not exactly clever ones. They're quite obvious. For example, the sweeping move that goes straight across. Get out of the way of it, really, by going into the dips in the floor. And obviously, vice versa, when the Hecatonchires, or hand, or whatever it is, goes for the gaps instead. As well as the fact, when you do the when the Hecatonchires hand actually puts its thing into the gaps, it will get stuck for a moment, which is a good idea to start whacking it, because then it'll be easier to get rid of. Obviously, for this playthrough or walkthrough, I've done it on normal mode, because of the fact that I get to, because it's one, my first time of doing it, and two, I believe that I should go through normal first before I do any sort of experimenting or adding on to for hard mode, which will obviously need a walkthrough later on. Maybe I'll do that, maybe I won't. This is just to give you a hint and tip for it. The same hints and tips will work for hard mode as well, because of the fact that nothing else changes, it just gets more difficult, and it takes a lot more damage to your player if you get hit. That's mostly what they do on God of War. They increase the difficulty by making it almost impossible to survive if you get hit more than a couple times, and obviously that improves as you go along. But yeah, if you saw the sparkling object that I missed, it was a note. This is a new concept as well. They've added notes to the game because of the fact that the game has a little bit more mystery to it, because of the fact that this game almost tells the story of how Kratos broke his oath to Ares and why he did it. But it's almost as much as a mystery to Kratos as it is to us, really, because of the fact he's woken up and he has no idea. But this will develop eventually, because of the fact that I believe, through good information, that how they're going to expand on the game is by going not backwards in time, but flashbacks instead, which we'll see in a moment. But yes, there'll also be a lot of mindfucks in this game, which I've come across. A lot of them. They really weed you out at first, and then you start to realise, wait a minute, they're doing it again, because the Furies obviously tempt Kratos in a way to rebrand himself as the Ghost of Sparta, or the slave or warrior of Ares, because you'll find out later on that actually Ares needs Kratos a lot more than you'd imagined, because Ares is a sneaky git. Oh goody, I wonder what's going to happen next. I've suddenly slowed down to the point where I can't walk properly. Well, I can't run, and I am just boddling about. Let's see. Oh, oops. Wasn't supposed to go down there. Oh well. Anyway, and that's not. Oh, shit. Oh crap. Anyway, this next bit, I believe, is part of a big fight. Well, not a big fight, more like just a big group fight against the Bugman. Bugman. Bugmen. Anyway, this bit is pretty annoying because of the fact they've kept some of the enemies they've kept, which we'll see later on, such as the goat people they've kept, but the fighting style for these bugmen are almost like the goats because of the fact they do this sort of primary strike, then a secondary strike straight after, which puts you off and can be quite annoying during fight scenes because you can't get to them that easily, especially when they're in a group. But yeah, anyway, like you've just seen, I've picked up another sword, and obviously I'll introduce you to the game's other various weapons as well. In the next episode, I'll show you, as well as the walkthrough to the game, the spear, which I think I used in the previous fight on this episode, and the club, which is really good as well. But anyway, obviously after this next bit there's going to be another big fight because it just makes sense. Because why not just beat the shit out of me for about a couple minutes, then make me face something even bigger. But yeah, they've changed a lot about this, and the fact that they've kept the graphics to a really good setting is even better. Because unfortunately, of late, there have been games, well, there was one game in particular which I mentioned earlier, that wasn't really that great for graphics. But it was so highly popular, and everyone was waiting for it, even I was waiting for it. And actually I didn't get it in the end because of the exact fact that, one, this game was coming out at the same time, as well as it just looked so boring and dull, and the graphics were horrible. And yeah, but anyway, for this bit, I'd suggest, of course, to really try and think about group fighting instead of facing one individual at a time. This means doing combinations that would affect groups, not just that. I wouldn't suggest grabbing hold of one enemy at all, because it just makes it harder for you to face them. And anyway, this next bit isn't really a puzzle as much as it is a introduction. If it is an introduction to puzzles, it's a very simple puzzle, and that's probably why they have done this. But anyway, obviously there is going to be something else in a minute that will stop you from doing this bit so fast. Anyway, after this point, it will have almost like a intro to the online person. And this was a really big thing that everyone loved, including myself, and I absolutely adore the online system to God of War. Because of the exact fact that it's new. It's very new, actually. It's a completely new idea because of the fact that it isn't as third-person shooter as the Uncharted games, but almost like a completely different thing because of the fact that you can improve yourself, improve your armor, improve that like usual. But you could also have different you'd had challenges and other things like all games do. But the best thing about it was the style of gameplay, because of the fact that you could face each other almost like a gladiatorial fight, which was brilliant, including the fact that you could do this it was all versus all 4-player battle in arenas, which was really good. I loved it. In fact, it was the best idea I've heard for God of War in a while, because I know they've adapted the game, but they've only adapted it. They didn't add anything majorly new to the campaign, apart from obviously the idea of more dynamic fighting. But the online was good. I loved it. But yeah, anyway, you'll see if you ever go on the online, and if you watch my later on videos, which I'll do after the walkthroughs, which is me running about with either my mates or not my mates, or just random people that are online, facing them in different scenarios of the game that they've put. And I've just realised that I couldn't get the latter right. Anyway. But yeah. Anyway. Me nattering on. But yeah, I'll obviously allow you to watch and listen to the intro to the online present.
Glory be to Olympus! I am free!
Hecatonkri's hand has level upped and now has hands. Crap. But yeah, this is the second fight, obviously, with one of the Hecatonkri's hands, which has obviously improved from last time. And really, this fight is not really much to hint at, apart from really the best way to kill him would be to be on the sides, because if you move around he will follow you depending on where you are. But the best way is the corner areas where the houses are, because once you've stunned him, it will be easier for you to do a finisher on him. As well as once you've faced him to the point where the two blocked housed areas are down, I would suggest, and this will be happening during as well, that you ignore the bugs. In fact, if anything, let them hit you. Not really let them hit you, but keep an eye on them, but make sure that you are paying most of your attention to the Hecatonkri's hand. But anyway, apart from that, that's the only hints. And at the end of this part of the fight, you'll face at the end of this fight, you'll be facing an even bigger enemy, and I'm not going to give anything away, not yet. But anyway, obviously I'm now putting him on the other side to face him, and ignoring that the bugs are trying to get me. Oh, may have needed to mention that as well. When you're facing him and you're trying to lure him onto one of the sides, he can and will smack you against the wall again, which I know you can escape from, and I know it doesn't affect your health, but it's really annoying and inconvenient, obviously. But yeah, anyway, once this part and this fight is done, I will pick up at the next important part of the level, which will be the elevator. So yeah, anyway, this is the finisher, and once that's done, I will also tell you another hint for this fight, which I didn't mention last time, and I've only just realised. The bugs you could probably use to, if you grab them, you can activate them as almost like grenades. And holy crap, that's a big hand. But yeah, I'm gonna survive anyway. Anyway, so there's a hint for you as well. Use the bugs as grenades against the Hecatongri's hand. And I will leave you for a moment, and then come back to when we are climbing the elevator.
Meet your end!
I love the fact in all of the God of War games, it's supposed to be set in Spartan times, where you basically had spears and swords and shields that were made out of iron or brass or copper. But for some reason they have the intelligence and ability to make quite high-tech stuff like elevators and other sorted stuff, which you'll see during this game, including really complicated windmills, I think they're called. I forgot their name. Oh well. Anyway, this bit's quite usual because of the fact that every single time you've ever faced a set of dogs, you have the ability to kick them into a rotating grinder thing that will mash them to oblivion. Anyway, once that's done, there'll be another thing I need to hint at, because of the fact that I basically crapped myself when I was trying to do this bit. Oops. But yeah. Actually, there's a hint I just realised. To the left of this bit, I didn't grab it because I forgot, is a red box. I believe the way you actually get that red box is when you're on the floor, and the first level, the ground level, and you blah blah blah. When you're on the ground level and there's a little stairwell that goes round to it. I've missed that. At least I've hinted at it at best. But anyway, as usual, up we go. And also I've just realised the fact that obviously Kratos lifts. Anyway, this is the bit that I was talking about. And big hint, don't wait around while you're facing the dogs. Just drop them. Because the second you get off that elevator, it starts going. So you might as well just gain the points and just let them drop to their deaths. But yeah, don't wait around for this one. And don't actually, when you're in the sections that are closer, don't jump, which I'll do in a minute, and cock up. Because if you keep on jumping, it slows you down. I know that sounds weird, but you almost charge every single time you've done it. And as you can see, I'm so close to getting grinded into a million pieces. It's unreal. Anyway, this next bit will be my surprise in my first ever video, if you haven't watched it before, or if you haven't got the game before, this will be a big surprise for you, because I told you so. There'd be a big boss fight, because that's the Hecatoncheires, and you're probably gonna see where this is gonna go. But there is an add-on bit to it, which you'll like.
Is that Kratos? Oh, the gods have rewarded us. Glory to Eros. He has given us a champion. Come, champion. Show me your strength.
No, me. They are nothing. Come with me and experience the greatest of pleasures.
Surprise! You thought that was going to be one of those traditional mini games that they always do in God of War, when actually, no, big mistake, big surprise. Oh well, that was my surprise. But yeah, this next bit hint is basically the final part in my first episode and the final part in this level. Even though it's really strange, in the actual game they split it off into chapters, and there's been at least 5 that I've gone through. But I thought it'd be easier and much less waste of time if I did at least 30-minute to 40-minute clips of these levels, because then it just goes through them much easier, and there's much more detail and evidence I can put in, and it saves you clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking on multiple episodes that are unnecessary and unneeded. But as you can see, I'm obviously kicking the crap out of some enemies with spears, as well as you probably saw a couple seconds ago me grab one of the bugs and use it as almost like a grenade. But yeah, this is the final boss battle, and you think this is pretty insane. We'll see in a minute how good and how brilliant they've added to the big boss fights, because you think you have to face the big face of the Hecatoncheires without any other weapon. No. Because imagine trying to kill this thing with just your bare hands and a couple short swords. That's just not gonna end well. Oh yeah, big hint right here. Even on normal mode, this is difficult, this bit, because of the fact that while you're trying to hit these claws that are grabbing onto it, they keep moving, and you keep getting attacked by these enemies. Now that's really annoying because you keep getting stunned by them. But no matter how many times you get hit by those bug people, for the love of God, keep hitting those claws that are attached to it, because you do not, and I repeat, you do not want to just ignore them, because of the fact that it's game over. The second that you don't hit them enough, you just get eaten by the Hecatoncheires face, and it is game over, and you're back to the checkpoint when you start off facing the Hecatoncheires face. But anyway, just ignore, well, not ignore, but spend more time hitting or being closer to the Hecatoncheires big claw things than the bug people, because that is how you're going to get through this bit. Once you pass this bit, it's really smooth sailing. But anyway, see, like I said, all you have to do is destroy one. It's easy. Just destroy one and you get to a really good point. And you'll see in a minute. Because if you think facing just a Hecatonchires face is really bad, then yeah, you're going to see the really good bit. Which is... yes! It's another one! Hey! Hooray! We got another one of the Hecatonchires hands attacking us. But yeah, I love this bit, especially in the entire game, because of the fact that it gives a side view of both facing the Hecatonchires hand, and what comes up behind you, it's the face. It's coming at you. But yeah, it's really, I like it. It's just really good, this bit, and I couldn't enjoy it more. But hint, when obviously you've seen just then that it's trying to claw its way towards you, the Hecatonchires hand, but do not go too far because otherwise the Hecatonchires face will get you. And this is what they've added to the big boss fight, which I love. It only happens once in the game, so enjoy it, because this bit just beats all of it. Is the fact that not only can you drive Cyclopses, is that you can drive the Hecatonchires hand to face the Hecatonchires face, which is brilliant. I love it. Oops, burped. Oh well. Pardon me. Try not to be rude. Anyway, basically this bit's pretty easy. You just keep smacking it. There's not much to it apart from once you've used up the Hecatonchires, you go for this big dramatic smash across its face, and the Hecatonchires hand gets eaten alive by the face, which would hurt. I would have thought it would hurt to eat your own hand. But yeah, this next bit is just a quick couple slashes against the Fury, and this is basically when you get to put the hammer down on this bug and squish it for good, which is brilliant. Yeah, we'll see. See, it's obviously showing you a better concept of the dodging thing than just being on the ground facing an enemy. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Eventually I will sort out a Facebook page and other, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you and goodbye. For information about Facebook and Twitter and other, then look at the comments and information below. And I'll see you next time on my YouTube channel. Bye.